that is visible, that we can fight, that we can combat. So that is what he meant by hidden hand. Okay, for the threats. So this is the overview of our presentation. We're going to start with threats, women and religious extremism. So it's the question that was sent by FGW. So the threats for Morocco are the regional instability. We are in, it's true that we are far from the Middle East, but we always forget about the presence of ACMI in Mali and Boko Haram. So they're close to Morocco. The rise of extremism and populism throughout the world, like we have said, we have Trump in the US, we had the threat of Le Pen in France. So the same, we have the Muslim Brotherhood in the Arab and Muslim countries. And the status of women, discrimination, inequality and insecurity, with the election of the PGD, which is with an Islamic background, we are now fearing to lose what we gained in the past. It's true that the Minister of Family is a woman, but she's from the same political party. And we, as civil society, we we were asking for law against violence, domestic violence. And her ministry came up with a proposal without consulting the associations and NGOs. But thanks God it wasn't voted for. So, factors of religious extremism. There is the economic structure of poverty and vulnerability, which enhance exclusion. In Morocco, we suffer from what we call social disparities. In Casablanca, I was again marked by a sentence. There was a member of our association. She lives in Meknes, which is about 3 hours drive from Casablanca. And we had a meeting in Casablanca, so she had to come to Casablanca. And the local of our association, it's in a popular area. And she was staying with her family. She said, coming from her family house to our association, she saw 4 Casablancas. Because she moved from one neighborhood to another. She said, I come from a clean neighborhood to a middle-class neighborhood to a popular neighborhood. She said, and she was surprised and shocked by this disparity. So this can be a factor for recruitment by terrorists. So for a better life, they say, because they promise them to give them money and they will have villas in Morocco or elsewhere. So they are attracted by this financial factor. And in a society, such as Morocco, where illiteracy is high among women and men, it's easier to pass a discourse by so-called religious leaders. And even within educated people, we have illiterate in religion. So they believe those so-called religious, and they believe in those misinterpretations of the Quran and of the Sharia. At the educational level, and here I'm a teacher, so I noticed the change. I started teaching in 2004, and I noticed a huge change at the level of education. It went down. Children, they are more busy with their smartphones, what they look like. Now we see the haircuts of the boys. So there's, that's shocking. And we have, you can say we have a good thing, that's the Ministry of Education. The minister is appointed by the king. So he or she, now we have only his, they don't come from a political party. Yet, the textbook, they promote inequalities in terms of gender. They still have pictures of women in the kitchen, and the husband and the boy are watching TV. And we have in the Quran, in the Islamic textbooks, there were some surahs asking for jihad, but now they were removed because there is an attempt to reform the textbooks in Morocco. But the lack of freedom and social injustice against minorities is also promoted in some textbooks. Now I'll give the floor to Lubna to talk about the next point.
So there's ongoing terror. The attacks are globally now. I think no place is safe. But we still believe that we can face terrorism and we can face extremism. I don't want these 2 days, to be filled with pessimistic tension. And I believe also that we can learn from the Moroccan experience, I hope so. So facing this problem of extremism and terrorism as a global and transcending the continents and borders, and also seeing every day that young men and young women are victims or can be easily victims of recruiters. Morocco faced that in a way, in a complex way, but with different elements. The case of Morocco is a case study in effectively fighting terrorism, according to the Global Terrorism Database, published by the National Consortium for the Study of Terrorism and Responses to Terrorism, START. It says that the attacks in the Maghreb region multiplied by 47 between 2011 and 2016, increasing from 15 attacks to 1,105 attacks. Of these attacks, thanks God, only one reached Morocco. So these statistics show that the North African country is not affected immediately, but can be indirectly affected, and who knows what's going to be in the future. But unlike the neighbors in the Maghreb region and also in the European country, Morocco's strategy for fighting terrorism does not rely only on strengthening internal security. Morocco has effectively combined 3 core elements to thwart terrorist acts against its citizens. In Morocco, also, women have been identified as a critical resource in imagining a future for their children to understand tolerance, moderation, spirituality, and democratic values, and to encourage as well and act as examples in the society. The Moroccan approach to counter extremism and violent extremism is a combination of first, security, 2, social approach, 3rd, a reform of religious field. Regarding the first element, which is to reinforce the security and provide the necessary means that enable to fight terrorist attacks before they occur. Because when we speak about prevention of terrorism, it's not what to do after what happens. It's too late. But what can we do to avoid and prevent from happening? What happened started in 2003 with the attacks in Casablanca, May 16, we all remember. We had Al-Qaeda in Maghreb, ACMI, committed a terrorist attack in Casablanca, and that was the awakening point in Morocco. The measure started with a reinforcement of Moroccan's military presence in the borders. You know that we have the conflict in the Sahara. We We have the Sahara issue. So we have very critical borders. We have the sub-Saharan come in as migrants, but also fleeing as military or fleeing the civil wars. The border with Algeria is closed, but in the south it's very sensitive. On the other hand, one other measure taken by Morocco is the creation of a new security mechanism called Hadar. It's like attention. Hadar in Arabic. It's a mixture of army, gendarmerie royale, the police, and forces, which is like national defense. You can see in all great cities in Morocco, all big cities, you can see those three elements controlling and patrolling all day and all night. This is a high alert, but also is a prevention act. Additionally, what distinguished Moroccan security system is that it's not rely on technology by itself, but also on the human factor. We can say that the Ministry of Interior is the most decentralized ministry in Morocco, because you can find an agent or someone related to the ministry in every community. So they know what's going on. They have open eyes and open ears everywhere. The last one is the we make fun because we say that they are national spies, because they hear and they know everything.
They're big brands.
Yeah. This is what we say. We say that
I thought it was
a cooperation between Europe and Morocco in combating violence, and they say we can send them those people
because they are trained.
They are trained, and they have agents, for example, groceries, the janitors,
civil agents.
So everyone
brings
them information about who's living, who they went.
The third point, it's also an important point in the security measure, is that in 2015 we voted an amendment of the anti-terrorist law. We had amendments of the penal code. We adapted of what's going on now with recruitments in ISIS or Daesh. Special articles for someone who persuades or uses violent messages, videos, and stuff like that. So very restrictive law. Of course, security is not enough. It's not the only way you cannot achieve. This is like a general national security level. Now digging into the roots of how to counter extremism, we chose to tackle poverty and exclusion. Morocco determined that poverty definitely exacerbates radicalization. Maybe it's not a direct link, but it can lead easily to that and be easily recruited by the Daesh or ISIS or any terrorist group. So as well, regarding the women, the integration of women in Morocco's counter-terrorism efforts was a strategic decision to ensure long-term sustainability, development, efficiency of the nation's CVE strategy. Specifically, the effectiveness of these programs rely on the inclusion of women because of their critical cultural role in Moroccan families and communities. They are the ones to spread the culture, and you know, Morocco is a very complex country. We live with religion, but also with traditions, and we live with traditions and progressiveness and moderation. We can be open and traditional at the same time. So the need to fight extreme poverty, social exclusion, provide women in marginalized neighborhoods with better perspective to have a brighter future, to be lifted out of poverty. We launched in 2005 what we call the National Initiative for Human Development, INDH. It's a process of local projects to help people have their own projects and have an income activity. Additionally, the Moroccan government engaged in a policy of heavy public investments. So you can see in different areas of Morocco the launch of building and launching a lot of investment of infrastructure, services, public services, etc. And also the good thing is that it's not only one area which is the capital, but now you have different regional great investments. The third point is the control over the religious sector and promotion of true values of Islam. The tough security measures are accompanied with a soft power approach, which may prove useful over the long run. Following the Casablanca attack in 2003, the Moroccan government realized that one of the important steps in the fight against terrorism was to regain control of its mosques. What happened in Casablanca was a wake-up call for Moroccan authorities, who realized that hundreds of mosques throughout the country operated independently of government supervision. That's why the Ministry of Islamic Affairs now is a ministry of, how do you say that? Supremacy or something like that. So it's out of control of political hands. It's in the hand of the king.
He appoints a minister.
So he's the one to appoint the minister. He to avoid that Islam or Islamic affairs or religion in general can be politicized, and I think it was a prevention before the coming up of the Islamic Party. Ever since, every new mosque built by the state or philanthropist, anyone can raise money and build a mosque, but can have necessarily the improvement of the ministry. Before you had only small garages, they open, and you have informal preachers and giving preachers and religious courses to anyone. Now they are closed, it's forbidden. The ministry also appoints the imams, educate the imams and the staff running the mosques. The measure was coupled with the determination to promote Morocco's practice of Islam and counter the radical views on Islam spread by some satellite channels. People see what other dayas are giving on channel. And again, Morocco responded by launching our own channel. It's the Muhammad VI channel for Quran, for religious education. I don't watch it often.
And it's the most
we have surprisingly the most heard radio and watched TV channel. Saying that really people are eager to know about religion. They just have a need to access the right message. Finally, we have the program of regarding also women. We opened the sphere, religious sphere, to women. We have now Murshidat, which means that women also can preach. It started in 2005 with 50 Murshidat. Now we have 500 and maybe more in the future. Women also are part of the Ulema Council. This is the Supreme Council of all the religious matters. And lately, the women have also the possibility to be adul, which means the Sharia advocate or judiciary system. They can also marry a couple. And
they can marry a couple?
Yes.
Yes, adul. Yes. It's a very new.
Learn.
Now going to record.
It's time for you to start learning, no?
Start? We have
Continue.
Netanyahu on the head.
Oh yeah, yeah.
We cannot do anything.
Keep forgetting.
Yes. Unfortunately.
You have only 1 minute left or perhaps less.
The 1 minute left, maybe I can.
No, but you have one more. You want to
Instead of just with the sheikh,
I saw that sword.
you have
I would
a
like to
female
say.
that can
Ma'zoon.
Ma'zooni, in a way.
Yes. So please sword, if you
Ah, you do?
take your
No,
turn.
we don't have it. I'm in Pakistan, we don't have it.
It has to be a meal?
It has to be.
I'm not going to add more to what Jihan and Lubna have mentioned, except from some other factors. Except from some factors that push women to join terrorist groups or extremist groups, and maybe it's not related to the Moroccan case, but maybe it's general. One of which is the gender egalitarianism, and this means that because of the gender division of the roles between men and women, men are always related to powerness, related to being powerful, and women as weak, and these are related to masculine versus feminine values, motivates more women to join these groups. The second point is also the notion of sacrifice and its importance in culture and religion. And the third point is the influence of women's liberation, which made women identify with self-determination, autonomy to join the struggle. So in order to counter this discourse and in order to provide ways of prevention, Morocco, as Lubna has mentioned, took a lot of initiatives, but maybe I would say, in my point, there are a lot of other recommendations, not restricted or limited to Morocco, but maybe for all the countries present here. I would say that there must be programs for women in order to combat this issue of terrorism and extremism, and we have to include women because they are effective in combating the phenomenon. However, they need to be supported and empowered to do so. They need to be given the opportunity to voice out their needs. This can be achieved through gender mainstream programs where women are consulted and involved both in designing and implementing. So they should be in decision-making positions. There is also an importance in order to draft programs aimed to women, taking into account the availability of gender indicators in program monitoring and evaluation. Yet, the creation of these programs, we should bear in mind that the context, triggers, or factors behind joining extremist groups differ from one country to another, from one group to another. So we should take into consideration that not one size fits all approach, and it's important to pay attention to diversity, cultural diversity, religious diversity, racial diversity, ethnic diversity, and so on. Another point is related to cooperation and partnership. Cooperation and partnership at two levels. Cooperation and partnership at the national level with different actors, with different governments, civil society, with academia, universities, and so on, and at the international level between different countries. I'm not going to talk about Moshidat, but also Jihan has mentioned the illiteracy programs. So they are really important because we don't need only to talk to highly professional people. We need to touch upon the grassroots. We need to talk to illiterate people. My grandmother, my mother maybe, so they don't understand what does terrorism mean. They don't understand what does extremism mean. So we need to talk to these people because there are those who teach the generation. So as a conclusion, I would say it's not it's not like talking here, it's the only thing, but we need to promote dialogue, and many people have stressed up with the idea of promoting dialogue and participating in drafting policies, drafting action plans, nationally and internationally. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you very much, all of you. This has been a very